Good morning, students. I welcome you to this new video, and this video is on Porphyria's Lover, one of Robert Browning's dramatic monologue. This monologue was first published as Porphyria in January 1836 issue of Monthly Repository. Later, it was published in Dramatic Lyrics 1842 along with Jonas Agricola in Meditation under the title Madhouse Cells. And then in the present title, that is Porphyria's Lover, it was published in 1863. Now this poem utilizes the effective structure of a dramatic monologue, that it is in the form of a dramatic monologue. And now you know that in a dramatic monologue, we should have one speaker. Single person speaks in the poem and there is a silent listener, and he is placed in a critical moment, and while he speaks, he reflects on his own character. We come together that what type of personality this person is who is speaking in the poem. Already I have told you, we have done this in detail. So here we find that this poem fulfills all these conditions. The speaker here is Porphyria's lover, and then we find that he is responding. He is in a very critical situation, and how he is placed in a critical situation, this we will see while we'll do the poem. So it is a narrative, we can say, told by a single narrator, and who is Porphyria's lover. And the poem describes the psychology of this absurd, obsessed lover. Here it is the lover, we can say. It focuses, we can say, upon the morbid and twisted psychological state of this lover. He is a crazy lover, mad in love for Porphyria. He is obsessed with his love, and how he controls this, we see that how controlling and dominant this psychopathic lover is. This is revealed through what he speaks in the poem. So we can say, in a way, it presents the psychology of the lover, of the absurd, obsessed lover. Now the poem begins with, when we see the poem, the poem begins with the description of nature. A very turbulent, disturbing nature is presented by the poet, and he says, "The rain set early into night. The sullen wind was soon awake. It tore the elm tops down for spite, and did its worst to vex the lake. And I listened with heart fit to break." So he says that it was evening time tonight, and the rain set early. It was raining. The sullen wind, see the wind is gloomy. The gloomy wind is blowing, not the refreshing wind is not there. The powerful wind is there. The storm is there. And he finds that it tore the elm tops down for spite. That as if in anger, as if it is showing its rage. The storm is showing its anger, its rage, and it pulls down the top of the elm tree. And even the water of the lake is disturbed. It is vexed. It is disturbed. So it is not flowing smoothly because of the storm, because of the powerful wind. The water is also agitated. It is also disturbed. And see how the wind is personified, because he says the sullen wind. The wind is gloomy. So the wind is personified here. The mood of the wind seems to be very gloomy. It seems to be very morose. And so a very picturesque detail of tumultuous weather is given here. It is a rough weather. And in such a weather, the poet, the persona, the speaker, the narrator of the poem, he is sitting all alone in his cottage, in his room. And I listened with heart fit to break, as if his heart is going to break. And he is all alone. He is in isolation, all alone. And he is he's looking at this rough weather. So here we can say that the setting of the poem, the beginning of the poem, it is a sort of an indication that the lover is morose, the lover is sad, and something violent is going to take place. So this violent nature is suggestive, it is evocative of some violent action that is going to take place in the poem. Later we'll see that what happens in the poem. Now he sees that in such a weather, at such a time, he further writes, when glided in Porphyria, straight she shut the cold out and the storm, and kneeled and made the cheerless grate blaze up, and all the cottage warm. Which done, she rose, and from her form withdrew the dripping cloak and shawl, and laid her soiled gloves by, untied her hat, and let the damp hair fall, and last she sat down by my side and called me. So we see that at such a moment, Porphyria glides in. Porphyria enters the room, she enters the cottage, glides in. Swiftly and silently, without making any noise, she glides in the room. And she shut the cold out and the storm. She shuts the door, and as soon as she shuts the door, now the storm, the intensity of the wind can't be felt inside the room, and kneeled and made the cheerless grate blaze up. Cheerless, the fire. She goes to the fireplace, she lights the fire, and as soon as the fire is there, the room becomes warm and cozy, and also indicative that the warmth of her love, her presence, because till now the lover was all alone in the room. He was all alone, he was lost, he was gloomy, he was like the weather, he was also in a sullen mood, in a gloomy mood. But as soon as Porphyria enters the room, his love enters the room, he finds that the room gets lighted because of fire, and also it gets lighted with the warmth of the love of Porphyria. His love has entered the room, and it has become a pleasant room now. And all the cottage warm, he says. The cottage has become warm, and the bad weather has been shut. Now it is not there. And as soon as he says that as she enters the cottage, she brings light and energy to the cottage. So here she is also not only the symbol of his love, but also the symbol of energy. That as she enters the room, it is all cheered up and it is all full of light and energy. Now, after the cottage is warm, she lights the fire and the cottage becomes a very warm, cozy place. Porphyria, she rose and from her form withdrew her dripping cloak and shawl, and laid her soiled gloves by, untied her hat and let the damp hair fall, and last she sat down by my side and called me. So the dripping cloak, because they were wet with water, the rainwater, and so she takes them out, and she rose, after lighting the fire, she rose and removed her dripping cloak off, laid aside her soiled gloves. She unties her hat and letting her soft, beautiful hair fall on her shoulders. And then she sat besides me, and she invites him to have a chat with her, to talk with her, and to love her. And the lover is only sitting and gazing as if he is stunned by something. So still the lover does not respond to the love of Porphyria. She tries to make love to her, with him, but he is not responding. So, and she says, she sat down by my side and called me. She calls him, but he doesn't pay any attention to Porphyria's call. Now, when the lover Porphyria's lover doesn't respond. He shows no reaction. She herself starts making love with him. And what the poet writes, that when no voice replied, she put my arm about her waist and made her smooth white shoulder bare, and all her yellow hair displaced, and stooping made my cheek lie there, and spread over all her yellow hair, murmuring how she loved me, she too weak for all her heart's endeavour to set its struggling passion free from pride and vainer ties dissever, and give herself to me forever. See the beautiful lines. And what she does, there is a very beautiful description of sensual love here. She sits beside him and she puts her arm around his arm around her waist, and her white shoulder bare. She takes out her cloak, and all her yellow golden hair, they fall on her shoulder, and she tries to kiss the lover and spread all her yellow hair and tells him around his shoulder, and she tells, murmuring how she loved me. So intense love, moment of love. She tries to kiss the lover. And all her hair falling around their shoulder, and she wants to assure the lover that how much she loved him. And she says, her yellow hair, murmuring how she loved me. And she murmurs, she tells him that how much she loved him, and for all her heart's endeavor to set its struggling passion free. And heart's endeavor, the heart desire, she had to struggle, she had to make an effort to come to this place. And she is so overcome by the feeling of love that today night she did not bother about anything. No social restrictions, no family ties, no social ties, not even the feeling of the fact that what will happen after, what will be the reaction of this action that she has taken, that leaving her home, leaving her family. There was a party going on, gay party was going on. She had left that party, and breaking all the barriers, all the obstacles that were there in their path of love, she had come to the lover at this moment of time, at this night, when it was a very tumultuous night, when the weather was also very rough, and braving all the social obstacles and braving all the weather conditions, she has come tonight. So tonight Porphyria has come to her lover, and in a way she has tried to overcome all social dogma, and she has left behind the notion of hierarchy, and she finds that she has liberated herself free from all social conventions to meet her love, to get her love fulfilled. So because also Porphyria's name, it likely suggests nobility, aristocracy and high social status, because this Porphyria words come from Greek word porphyrus, means purple, and that was associated with royalty. So there is a class distinction also. She might belong to upper class, and the lover is of the lower class. But today night, leaving apart this class distinction, this barrier of upper class and lower class, or of the royalty, all ties she severs, she breaks, and she has come to get the fulfillment of her love. So he says that she is there, and now what happens to her, how this love is fulfilled, whether it gets fulfilled or not, or in what form she gets this ecstasy of love, what she cherishes, what she desires, this we will take in the next part of the video. Thank you.